The Syrian Arab Republic, or Syria, is a country in the Middle East that is bordered by Lebanon and the Mediterranean Sea in the west, Iraq to the east, Turkey to the north, Jordan to the south, and Israel to the southwest. It features coastal borderlines, desert regions in the central part of the country, and forest areas in the north and northwest. Damascus, also called the Fragrant City, is the capital of Syria. Syria is interspersed with strings of mountain ranges in a coastal plateau and is also about the size of North Dakota. The Euphrates River flows through Syria and empties into the Persian Gulf, and also features a man-made lake called Lake Al-Assad. The anti-Lebanon and Bishri mountain ranges occupy the west and central regions of Syria. The largest producing fields are in the Deir ez-Zor regions, which includes the largest field, Al-Amar. This produces oil ranging from $25 to $40 per barrel, depending on the quality of oil. The production ranges from 34 to 40,000 barrels per day, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Syria has 2,500 million barrels of proved reserves and 8,500 billion cubic feet of proved natural gas reserves. This makes Syria the largest proved reserve of crude oil in the eastern Mediterranean, according to the Oil and Gas Journal estimate. The crude oil is very heavy and has a high sulfur content. ISIS controls much of the country's largest oil fields and directs these exports towards the Syrian-Iraqi border.
Since the beginning of its country, Syria has had constant issues with its unstable economy and suppressing leaders. For over 40 years, the Assad regime has been in control of Syria. Both leaders of this regime, Hafez al-Assad and Bashar al-Assad, have struggled to keep their people happy along with creating a modernized economy. The discovery of oil and its production has since become a massive pillar in the Syrian economy. Although its production does not compete to those of its neighboring country, Iraq, Syria supplies the countries of the European Union with 90% of its oil's productions. Due to recent conflict in Syria between the current president and his people, a civil war has broken out. This has left the country in chaos, with the economy taking hard hits and the political leader taking no action. Many countries, including the countries of the European Union, have put sanctions on Syria, banning oil imports from the country. In just a year, Syria lost billions of dollars due to these sanctions. Along with sanctions, Syria now has invading groups like ISIS trying to gain control of territories in massive oil fields. In 2013, it was reported that the Syrian government was in control of approximately 60% of the population and only 30 to 40% of its territory. ISIS started with merely smuggling oil from Syria to taking over entire production fields. At the beginning of 2010, Syria was producing 385,000 barrels of oil a day. Since the conflict, this number has shrunk a significant amount to just 59,000 barrels of oil a day.
The protests of opposition forces against the Syrian government in March 2011 marked the beginning of the decline in oil and natural gas production in Syria. And since then, this decline has been steepened through Syria's recent civil war conflict with ISIS and foreign sanctions. The conflict of war and foreign sanctions have hindered not only oil and natural gas production, but also the exploration, development, production, and transport of all energy resources in the country. Oil and natural gas production in Syria, who was previously the leading oil and natural gas producer in the eastern Mediterranean, has declined to a fraction of its pre-conflict levels. As a result of no longer being able to export oil due to a lack of production, Syria's government revenues coming out of the energy sector have declined tremendously. Before the conflict, when Syria's oil production was at 383,000 barrels per day and natural gas production was at 316 million cubic feet per day, 1/4 of government revenues was contributed to Syria's oil and natural gas sector. In January 2014, according to Syrian officials, This dramatic decline in production caused by the conflict alone has brought the entire economic losses in Syria's oil sector to more than $20 billion. The Syrian conflict has brought about another problem: oil theft. Syrian officials claim that hundreds and possibly thousands of barrels of oil are being robbed and transported to bordering countries every day. As an effective sanction set on Syria by the European Union, which was responsible for the near entirety of Syrian oil exports beforehand, there are a scarce amount of available markets capable of importing and processing the heavier Syrian crudes.